Well, it's 2 a.m. or thereabouts, and it is still snowing, and we haven't streamed in a few days. And meanwhile, the world is as crazy as ever, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit tonight. Everything ties together in a way. We'll talk about how the whole world, in a way, is a sort of mini microcosm of Epstein Island. That's the premise here tonight on Land Speculation.
Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack.
This is Land that ain't just speculation. Something we do is kinky.
Quack, 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 quack.
Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack.
Honk, 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 honk.
Give us your money.
That would be weird.
Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Let's see.
I eat bars of soap for breakfast. I love bars of soap. After midnight, things get weird.
Quack, quack,
Oh no. Oh no.
Let it go. Let it go.
cock.
I like that one.
Quack, 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 quack. Come on, ducks.
All right. Well, it's now it's 2:15 a.m. It gets later by the minute, by the second. It gets later and later and later and later, and we would be sleepwalking right now, as in the kinds of streams where we go outside and we walk around and we mull the fate of the universe. Except that it's let's see, what is it? It is. I was saying it's 17 degrees. That actually feels warmer than it actually. Yeah, the feels like no, it's 16, and the feels like temperature is 1 right now. There is but 1 degree of temperature happening in Washington D.C. right now, and the giant chunks of ice that sit along the sidewalks seem sort of like giant death weapons that are just astrew everywhere. Like if you were to have a snowball fight using the chunks of snow that are on the street in Washington D.C. right now, you would end up in the hospital, if not just completely decapitated. It is crazy. The temperature has still been mostly below freezing for the last several weeks, and ever since the giant snowstorm here. And they don't really know how to deal with snowstorms in Washington, period. But they certainly don't when the temperature stays below freezing for then weeks on end, it has gotten up to like 33 degrees a couple of times, which means you have like, I don't know, a 3 or 4 drops of snow will melt over the course of the entire day. Otherwise, it just melts like the innards of these snow mounds, like internally melt just a little bit, but not enough for anything to actually go away. And then it goes back below freezing and it refreezes into an even harder and harder ice pack. I don't know if you've ever eaten like grape nuts, the cereal, but sometimes when you eat grape nuts, the cereal, and you put milk on it, it just causes it to turn into like a cement. That's kind of what's happening with the snow in Washington right now. You tap your foot against the snow and it just stays completely solid. And there are scooters that are probably not going to make it out of this alive. They've been trapped now for weeks. It's very unpleasant. We should be outlawing winter. We should be trying to make the global warming happen as rapidly as possible, because I don't know what good comes out of this. I don't know why this is something we want to have happening in the world. It's better when things are warmer than this. Anyway, there's a lot going on right now. If you are here, and right now it looks like we have a couple of mods hanging out with us here in the chat. Always appreciated. Jeanette and Quiet. If anybody is lurking around and hasn't dropped a like or subscribe to the video, I do always appreciate that. Those likes help us out with YouTube. The subscribes help you know when we're on. Check our description for the link to our Discord, our Duck Fund, and our sister channel, LANDCasts International. It's been a very busy, well, we're in the midst of a busy few weeks. So we're trying to like stay on top of things as much as we can, but there is always more than we can stay on top of. I wonder if Jeffrey Epstein ever felt that way. He was juggling a lot in his life. He's so we have like YouTube. Apparently, the YouTube algorithm does not like when people talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know why, really. Like, I don't really understand why there is this vested interest in not talking about controversial topics. Well, actually, I do. I mean, it's advertising. But like, why are advertisers? Like, Google is trying to protect its the willingness of advertisers to advertise on this platform, which I get. They're a business. That's how they make money, is getting advertisers to advertise here. But what do the advertisers care? Like, does it adversely affect the product that their ad showed up on a video that talks about Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know why. Apparently, you're like, we're not allowed to talk about Jeffrey Epstein in titles, things like that. So who is the man behind the curtain? The man behind the curtain is, of course, this mysterious man that has been lurking off in the ether for a while. And I have to say, at this point, I'm kind of on Donald Trump's side here. Like, this is getting tedious. Why is it that every time the name Jeffrey Epstein comes up, people get like, they crap their pants with excitement over what an interesting and crazy thing this will be? Like, have people really not like figured out by now that the world is run by creepy, crazy people that do nefarious things? And I get not all of them like diddle children and stuff, and that's bad. Like, that's pretty darn bad. But like, we know that. We know what went on here, more or less, sort of. We kind of know the general gist of like, there was Jeffrey Epstein and there was a whole bunch of famous people and some less famous people that were doing genetic stuff. And they all did all kinds of crazy stuff on the island. They diddled kids and, they blackmailed each other, and they all knew each other and were sort of managing the world together. I feel like I'm in one of those situations where normally I think people are too conspiratorial. I feel like every time I hear about the Epstein case and people's excitement about it, I start feeling like, is the world really this naive that this is surprising to us? Like, who did you think was running the planet? Anyway, Jeffrey Epstein is, I guess he's either dead or maybe he's not. I don't know, the videos that were popping out this week, I didn't even watch all of them, but apparently there's stuff in the Epstein files. Now people think he's alive. Jeffrey Epstein is alive because he was in the prison cell, and like some guard reported that he saw them wheeling Jeffrey Epstein out of the prison in a wheelchair, and now there's all this. Everybody wants this to be as conspiratorial as it could possibly be. King Cosmo has popped in here. The chat says, people just think that there's some hidden gem out there that will incriminate every sex offender in the world. So every time that doesn't happen, it's like you got to dig deeper. Yeah, yeah. This reminds me a bit. Every winter it comes out. John Ramsey, the famous father of the famous JonBenet Ramsey saga. When JonBenet Ramsey, the child pageant queen, she was 6 years old. I believe she was 6 when she was killed. When she was found murdered or killed in her house on Christmas, on the day after Christmas. And she and it was like this big national conspiracy thing for like weeks and weeks and weeks. Who killed JonBenet Ramsey? And at first everyone thought it was like the parents, and then every year John Ramsey, the father, now comes out, and he goes on TV. He shows up at this crime con thing every Christmas, and he talks about how we're just like one more little bit of DNA evidence away from finally cracking this case. 30 years on hence, we're going to finally solve the whole thing. And all these news stories pop out about how like new DNA evidence is coming out. We're going to finally figure this out. It's like, I don't think John Ramsey has any new DNA evidence. It's gonna actually unveil anything that we don't already know, which is that almost certainly it was somebody in that family that did it. The probability that was anybody other than somebody in that family is extremely small. And yet it is in the best interest of John Ramsey to keep people excited about the possible crazy, sinister, conspiratorial stuff that might be happening off in the ether. And the reality is there just isn't anything that crazy about. I mean, there's the big question mark is here. Like, everyone's so fixated on who is involved. You know, which famous people were doing bad, nefarious, bad stuff. Probably the most interesting part that is left sort of unfinished about the Epstein thing is, what really was the scheme? Was it Jeffrey Epstein, some rogue operator, some guy that just really liked power, some guy that just really liked being in cahoots with the rich and famous and got this little scheme together where he thought, hey, I'll reach out to rich and famous people, through rich and famous people, I'll promise them all kinds of secret, forbidden stuff that they want, which in some cases is kid diddling. And in return, I'll blackmail them, and then I'll have leverage over them, and of course they'll know what I did, but I know what they did, and it's a little bit like fraternity hazing. You kind of you go through things together, and therefore you protect each other's backs, and we all get to live very interesting lives as a result. I think there's a very plausible version of this that is merely Jeffrey Epstein operating as some kind of rogue operator with these sort of weird fetishes, this sort of megalomaniac vision for himself, that he's going to gallivant all over the world and know all the famous people, and then he's going to meet all the genetic researchers, and he's going to invent the famous human farm in which he's going to populate his DNA all over the universe. He might have just been a weird guy that met a lot of people and knew a lot of people. There's people like that exist. Like, not everything that involves people in positions of power is somebody that's like at the direction of some foreign government. Of course, there is the version of this where Jeffrey Epstein is doing this at the behest of some foreign government. People seem very enamored with that possibility, particularly Israel, because we seem to be back in there seems to be a lot of Israel bad going on around these days. this might not be as sophisticated. It might be messier, but also not as sophisticated as people think it is. And Jerry Carter thinks he's alive in Israel playing video games. Yeah, if they come out and like Jeffrey Epstein just walks out this year and he pops out alive, that would definitely be a bit of a jarring thing. Be a bit of a thing. Did he kill himself for some nefarious, self-interested reason, or did he kill himself to protect others around him? Did he kill himself to protect his own reputation in some way, or just save himself from the, enduring the embarrassment of all the stuff that was going to come his way? It is interesting. I mean, there are various new names that have surfaced as part of this. I guess through the latest release of the Epstein files, I guess we now know a little bit more about Bill Gates. So it seems. Some of the there was that big controversial divorce in which Melinda French Gates divorced Bill Gates and took a huge amount of his money with her. And I remember when that happened thinking, like, if you were Melinda Gates, like, why on earth would you divorce what was then, I believe, still the richest man in the world? Like, what? Like, no matter what he was doing, you would think you would just, like, endure it because you get to be married to the richest dude in the world. Had to be pretty bad to leave that situation. And who knows what to... I mean, everything is tabloid fodder here, but the notion that Bill Gates had allegedly slept with some Epstein-arranged underage person, and allegedly that he had gotten an STD from that underage person, and allegedly that caused Melinda to no longer be able to have intimate relations with Bill, and that allegedly was the impetus for the divorce. Not so much the STD, I suppose there are ways to overcome that, but more so the loss of trust and the moral hideousness of how this all had happened. The Gates closed down. He did come out with a very angry and forceful denial of it all. So I don't know. Just you look into the eyes sometimes when it comes to somebody like this, and it doesn't always seem like it's totally on the up and up. But it is interesting that it seems like Epstein was like proactively reaching out to like every person of any kind of importance in the entire world. He reached out to Elon Musk. I mean, sometimes like when you're super, super, super wealthy, it's like you just find out about interesting things that are happening out there. There's like, when you are somewhat wealthy, there's like a lot of places you can go on vacation. There's a lot of interesting things you can go see. You go to a Broadway show. That's like a life experience. You go ride the London Eye. That's a life experience. You go to Lake Como in Italy. That's a life experience. You go to a Hollywood party. That's a life experience. You go to Malibu. That's a life experience. You go to some hot Latin club in Miami and you dance your heart away until 7 in the morning. That's a life experience. You go stay at the fanciest of resorts. It's a life experience. You go take a cruise across Alaska. It's a life experience. You go have drinks on the patio at the Trump Tower that overlooks the Magnificent Mile in Chicago. It's a life experience. It's what you do. At any level of wealth, you take advantage of the opportunity to engage the most interesting life experiences that you can. When you get exceedingly wealthy, when your company takes off and suddenly you have money pouring into your bank account like you couldn't imagine, you start having access to people. People reach out to you. The financial barriers to doing interesting things start breaking down, and you just learn about interesting things. You get invited to spirit cooking dinners in New York with Marina Abramovich, where they're making dinner out of like human tears and blood and sweat and urine and feces and semen and stuff. And it's like, it's not that tasty, but it is weird and interesting and exotic. And everyone wants to live an interesting life, particularly in the Instagram age. And so there are these little drops that have come out as part of the latest tranche of Epstein files, in which Epstein and Elon Musk were trading messages, and Elon Musk is like, "Hey, you know what's going on with this island thing?" And they never did. He never did go, apparently. But that's what you do when you're rich and famous: is you find the interesting life experiences. When you become very, very, very rich, you start learning about more things that you can do. Those doors start opening and unlocking to things that are even more elite and unusual and interesting. And everyone is always seeking the more and more and more interesting stuff to do. You want to go ride a camel in the middle of the Middle Eastern desert. You want to go find a secret club through some secret little door in the back of a speakeasy in London, where there's like a speakeasy behind the speakeasy, and it's only for really rich people that can get in. You want to partake in a super high-priced hooker, like, is that Elliot Spitzer in New York that was doing that, allegedly? You want to go meet the Queen of England, if you can. You want to get invited to a Diddy party. Why? Because, I don't know, maybe it's interesting that Justin Bieber runs around naked. Maybe you want to make a music video of yourself for no reason, because someone's willing to do that for you. You want to write a book. You want to go do cocaine at some dark paneled backdoor Washington room with senators in their free time, and you don't even do cocaine, but it's really fun to just kind of be letting loose with people who have supposedly power in the world. You want to meet the Pope at their inner sanctum. You want to go to Africa. And who was it? It was RFK Jr. Went to Africa with Epstein, and they went dinosaur hunting together. It just seems like the kind of thing that RFK Jr. would really, really want to do. If you're Donald Trump, what you wanted with Jeffrey Epstein was for Jeffrey Epstein to help wingman for you, so that when couples would show up at your casinos, Jeffrey Epstein could distract the man, while Donald Trump would take the woman off for a tour of the casino, seduce her, and ultimately bed her in his gold-platted bedroom. That was Donald Trump's thing. Like, Donald Trump was not into diddling kids. There's like nothing and anything that's come out about the Epstein stuff that really suggests Donald Trump was into diddling kids. But he did have this fetish for sleeping with other men's wives. He viewed it as this power thing where he would gain power over them. It's consistent with everything else Donald Trump has ever done. Roy Cohn, who basically mentored Donald Trump into his upbringing, into his adulthood, his powerful adulthood, was paid back by Donald Trump with the gift of some really fancy earrings, or some really fancy studs that turned out to be fake. Donald Trump he liked to kind of like have power to sort of screw over people and sort of like satisfy his own ego by humiliating people in the most kind of embarrassing ways, and sleeping with their wives is a way for him to do that. And the thing about Jeffrey Epstein is he could arrange all this stuff because he knew everybody else. He could arrange anything that you wanted. Donald Trump could give you access to, or Jeffrey Epstein could give you access to basically anything that you wanted, interesting life experiences, no matter how nefarious. And for a lot of them, it just so happened that the life experiences that they were seeking involved, some underage people. A lot of elites that control the world are evil people, says Quiet Castle. People are evil people. Of course, if you're evil, if you're powerful, you're probably even a little bit more psychopathic and willing to stab people in the back than an ordinary person. People are just kind of evil. when you put people and money together, and people have enough money that they can access the things that they really, really, really in the darkest corners of their psyche want to access and do, they do bad stuff. I take comfort in knowing when the rich and famous people hide in their bunker, their security teams will turn on them and take over, says Jerry Carter. Everyone is selfish. I mean, every election cycle, we have people that literally vote for the government to give them money. Like, everyone is really selfish. Everyone believes they are owed something. Everyone believes they have sort of a birthright to do things that otherwise would be forbidden. It is really remarkable we've put the pieces together to create any kind of reasonable society. Like, how did we all agree that killing is bad? It's kind of remarkable, isn't it? Luigi Mangione is in court right now. He's protesting that it's very unfair that he's being charged for murder twice at the federal and the local level. He says it's double jeopardy and not fair. Luigi Mangione, the self-appointed executioner of a healthcare CEO. See, it's not fair for you when it feels unfair to you. Of course, it's fair when you're doing it to someone else. Everyone is a selfish, bad person. Why? Because we are animals competing for resources. You think lions out on the safari are they good people? No, they're animals. They're not particularly bad people either. They're just instinctive creatures that are designed in such a way that they have to eat to stay alive. And so they eat things. They eat other creatures, no matter how cute and cuddly they are. While we mask it in the facade of society, we are all just resource-seeking, hungry animals, trying to keep ourselves alive and propagate our families. And when you have more power, you have more access to more things. And so sometimes you meet the guy that sets you up with some questionable activities, and you go take advantage of it. And sometimes those activities weren't that interesting. Like, the dinosaur hunting is interesting, but it doesn't seem to captivate people nearly as much as the kids' stuff. One of the, I guess, positives that has come out of the Jeffrey Epstein saga is I'm always concerned that as Americans we are losing our shared humanity. We are becoming sort of post-ideological, in which there is very little principle that defines our partisanship these days. People will pick sides in any issue, on any topic, on any event in the news cycle, merely because it's their side that did the thing. There's very little consistency about positions. Sometimes people think the government is great and everyone should just obey it, and other times people think the government is bad. It kind of depends on whether it's your side or the other side that's in charge. Sometimes when there's a scandal, you defend the person. Sometimes you excoriate the person, just depending on whether it's your person or the other side's person. There's a post-ideological quality to it in which there's very little principle or actually ideology behind it. Nobody's sitting there actually debating like the philosophy of governance anymore. It's red side, blue side, it's fascists against anti-fascists. Of course, the fascism doesn't mean anything in either case, because it's just two warring, resource-seeking tribes fighting each other. And as we break down more and more of the undergirding morals that unite our society, like we have flirted with the notion of like maybe political murder is okay in the last year. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot that unites us. But I do think the Epstein saga has revealed that maybe, just maybe, people can kind of get on the same page about the idea that molesting children is bad. Because that actually does seem to, in a way, transcend politics here. People seem to be willing to incriminate whomever, whether it is on their side or not, if, in fact, that person diddled kids. That's a good sign. I mean, it's not a good sign that we have people diddling kids. It's a good sign that we have a shared, like at least there's like one thing we can unite around. There's like one thing left that we can actually agree is a foundational principle that we can start to build some consensus around. Actually, I think there are three things. We all think like child molestation is bad. Apparently, everyone now agrees Israel is bad. And everyone likes conspiracies and wants everything to be as conspiratorial as possible. Those are like the three building blocks of consensus that everyone, regardless of what side of the aisle they are on, can all get their arms around. But even as everyone agrees that kid diddling is bad, there's a degree to it, because I think everyone thinks it's really bad, really nefarious, but not so nefarious that they won't en masse make up incriminating lies about each other about that topic. And so is the case in the latest batch of the Epstein files. There's a whole section of the Epstein files, these tip line calls in which right before the 2024 election, people en masse were calling in. It was the 2024 or 2020 election. I can't remember which one. Right before one of the elections, people were en masse calling in, making up pretend Epstein-related victim complaints about Donald Trump. And there's this one that got a lot of attention. An unidentified female said that she was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend said that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred. And the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing the oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was also abused by Epstein. This was a tip called into some tip line. And then the notes from the officer are that after this person revealed this, then they started giggling and just admitted it was all a lie, basically. At least that's how my understanding of this was. So, like, there are a lot of people out there that seem to really, really, really want Donald Trump to have diddled kids because it would make him look bad. And there are a lot of people that seem really, really, really interested in the Epstein case because they so desperately want this idea that there are elites out there who are doing horrible things to be true. In part because it would validate this worldview that elite, rich, powerful equals bad, and that if you're not that, you are good. And conversely, I guess there is the version in which people are just like, they want people punished. If there are evildoers out there, they want them punished. Undergird is a good word. It's one of my favorites. Undergird is a pretty good one. I have other favorite words I use on our streams a lot. Inculcate is another one I use a lot. Some of those words, they just give you that like satisfying feeling when you say them. It's like, oh yeah, now I can finally I can say that sentence with clarity and authority and have it mean what I want it to mean concisely. Some of those words just really, they do that trick. They connect clauses in magical ways. Undergird is one of those words. Inculcate is one of those words. Jeanette is a little skeptical about this, says people want it because it would make Trump look bad to his base. The other side could care less if people diddle kids. Maybe am I too much of an optimist thinking that people can agree that like anybody who did this is bad? Is it all still just cynical partisanship? Am I narrative seeking goodness here in a way that even is a little bit too ambitious? It's very possible. Is this a conspiracy? I don't know, but I think one thing we can be assured of is that whether this is a conspiracy or not, whether some foreign government put Jeffrey Epstein up to this, whether he did it himself and this is all some cabal between him and a whole bunch of other powerful people just protecting each other's backs, whether or not our own government covered up for it, whether or not Jeffrey Epstein is still alive, whether or not Jeffrey Epstein killed himself or was killed by someone else, whether or not Israel and the Mossad is involved, whether or not the British government is involved. I think the one guarantee through all of this is that you can trust the New York Times will gaslightingly and with a high degree of like sanctimony and condescension poo-poo the notion that anybody knows anybody in any positions of power. When the world seems like one big conspiracy, the New York Times says, understanding the structure of global cabal theories can shed light on their allure and their inherent falsehood. This like condescending language. Like you would think that entities like the New York Times, if they gave it like even an ounce of air, it would give them more credibility. Like when you just automatically poo-poo everything, it makes people think that you are part of it. I don't know, guys. What was I searching? I was searching I think I searched World of Perverts. I was looking for an image of World of Perverts, which apparently is a show. It's something like that, World of Perverts. This is what I got. So I guess these are actors. I don't know if they're actually perverts or not, but hedge mazes. Hedge mazes are what you're looking for. If you want to know where there is a pervert afoot, look for a hedge maze. It's always the island. Thing is, everything is the island. I think part of what would be fun, if this in fact were some foreign government plot, is that it would be neat and tidy. We would be able to incriminate one evildoer, one Israel, or one CIA, and we would be able to put a neat and tidy bow around Jeffrey Epstein and the people involved and the foreign government that put them all up to it. I think the much more unsettling version of Epstein is the version that probably is true and the version for which we probably will never quite know and people will always doubt. Much like JFK, much like so many other things, where people want it to be some neat and tidy A to B, A to Z conspiracy theory. The much scarier version of Epstein is there is no quote-unquote conspiracy. There is no foreign government that put him up to this. This is just one of any number of psychopathic dudes who gradually, because of good fortune in their lives and a level of gregariousness, find a way to meet people and to snowball it into meeting other people and building it up and up and up and up to the point they build a broad network of elite people with relatively limited morals. They do nefarious things. They offer people nefarious things. They use that to build leverage over people, and they, in turn, use that leverage to protect themselves doing even more nefarious things. That's probably what was really going on with Epstein, and structurally, I guess we don't fully know yet. No matter how many tranches come out of Epstein files, we probably won't fully know. But that's scarier. It's much scarier because it says there's not a neat and tidy boundary we can place on the whole Epstein saga. There's not some single bad actor we can blame this on, because this is something that is much more nefarious, much more across the board. It means that we need to be wary of every rich and fancy person. It means we need to probably be a little bit wary of basically everybody. I don't know, like if you guys have been to Washington, D.C., but I've been to Washington, D.C. I live in Washington, D.C., which means I've been here a lot. I meet people every day who are psychopaths who feel a little bit off. Certainly sociopaths. Certainly people who would gladly throw somebody else under the bus for the pursuit of their own power. People at dinner parties who are obnoxiously self-indulgent. People who believe they have sort of a personal liberty to partake in things that they probably shouldn't be, just because they are them. People who use money to pursue carnal pleasure. People who believe that the purpose of life is to go chase your own personal satisfaction in the most base and animalistic ways. Everything we see in society is a version of Epstein Island. I'm not saying there's that much more kid diddling happening. There's plenty of that happening. But there's lots of Epstein stuff, lots of corruption, lots of people protecting each other, lots of people gaining leverage on each other and using it. You see it probably in small versions even in your own lives. Somebody knows something about someone else, but they don't reveal it because they're using that for leverage against that person. People wonder, did the Minnesota state government know about the fraud that was happening? Did they protect it for the purpose of advancing some kind of political interest? I won't out the fact that you're using the taxpayers of Minnesota to steal money for yourselves, so long as you guys continue to vote for me. Nobody ever has to really say it implicitly. Nobody has to ever say it explicitly. But everyone kind of knows implicitly that that's a version of what was going on. And that goes on every day. Was it just random chance that Joe Biden wanted a broadly open border at the southern border of the United States? Or did he want to grow his voter base and there was a mutual shared interest in doing that? Everyone does like nefarious stuff. Everyone is interested in their self-interest, and everyone will throw out personal morals. Like DuPont will go pollute the rivers of West Virginia, even if they know it's going to allegedly kill a whole bunch of hogs and give people cancer and stuff. That movie about that. Why? Because they can. It's how people are. It's why I used to be a pretty nihilistic political thinker. I used to believe in economic structures, and that was about it. A little bit of foreign policy stuff. The undergirding culture that uses whatever means necessary to cause society to be even vaguely moral, based on ancient moral codes, is something that counts. It matters. It's not something to be thrown away lightly. The notion that we can just as easily live in some profoundly secular and self-interested society. It's not going to get us there because it unleashes this stuff. Not VP Productions, thanks for stopping by here in the chat. You guys are being a little quiet here in the chat. I do appreciate the comments that are being populated here. If anybody has thoughts, pop them in here. We're talking about Epstein. The whole world is the island, and everything else we're seeing in the news, everything else we're seeing in the news these days is just more of the island. The island is everywhere. The island is everywhere. The island is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a version of Epstein Island. Epstein Island is a version of Washington, D.C. Now, I don't know how many kids are in fact being executed on top of the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., nor how many kids from the Page dormitory pictured here at the bottom of this image That's where like that's where the Congress invites a whole bunch of like 15-year-olds to come live in a dormitory and cozy up with the Congress people and the senators under the premise of some kind of like educational experience for high schoolers, being a page on Capitol Hill. I'm sure there's nothing nefarious going on there. I mean, we know there have been, at least in isolated incidents. Who was that congressperson? Was it Mark Foley back in 2006, I believe, was caught doing explicit stuff with a page? I can't even imagine how much of that is actually going on. Washington, D.C. and Epstein Island are the same place. But so too is everywhere. Everywhere is like that. It's just the power centers tend to be a little bit more because they can get away with it and they have resources. Minnesota too. Minnesota too is Epstein Island. Clearly, like there's a lot of Epstein going on in Minnesota. Minnesota is right now full of people who are sort of self-fancying themselves the good guy. I've been talking to people in Minnesota over the last few weeks. I've talked to people there. Man, they are melting down. There are people in Minnesota who are living out their own really dramatic, high stress sort of victim passion play thing. They believe that ICE is really coming to destroy their community. And people are leaving work early to go watch the ICE people. People are going and volunteering at soup kitchens and food shelters to put together bags of stuff to send to deported illegal families on their journey back to wherever they came from. The anger in Minnesota is ripe, even as the state is this fraud scandal thing that continues to presumably be fully active there. Everyone acts like they're really good. Everyone acts like it's good for someone else to have their tax dollars taken and given to you. That's really not particularly good. That's just selfish. Just because you're not as rich doesn't mean you're not just as selfish. I don't know. Minneapolis continues to be a bit of an ICE epicenter. Of course, it is February. It's very cold there. It's very cold everywhere. It's time for us to get a show on this global warming. Get this ice out of the way. Like, anything we can do to get people to like not burn down society any further would be good. Whether it's the literal burning of society, whether it is the burning of societal undergirding values, norms, morals, ethics, whether it is people burning public trust. There's people burning children's corpses on the roof of the FBI headquarters after having diddled them in the basement of a pizza parlor in Northwest D.C., after having extracted all the fluids out of their bodies and eaten them at a spirit cooking dinner in New York City. Burning, gaslighting, these are all similar terms. Carving into the innocence of humanity, the goodness, whatever goodness we have managed to cultivate by leveraging people's base instincts against each other's. Like, capitalism is kind of brilliant because it causes people's very most base instincts to create an overall public good. Everyone seeks greed and wealth, personal fulfillment for themselves, and yet somehow, like, when the pathway to achieving personal pleasure is to provide something meaningful for someone else, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. We're all just like filthy, hideous, awful animals. You just got to find a right way to leverage that to each other's benefit. Tess, thanks for all those ducks. I appreciate that. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribing to the video here on YouTube, I always appreciate that. I'm kind of rambling away here at 3 in the morning about Epstein and other things. I haven't really followed the news that much over the course of the last week. I'm just speculating. I'm just land speculating that the entire world is an island. As Beefy Productions says, there was a time when we all knew the world was flat and the Earth was the center of the universe. Oh, yeah, the likes and the subscribes help us out with YouTube. Check the description for the links to our Discord, our Duck Fund, and Land Ducks International, our sister channel. Always appreciated. We'll engage with all of those platforms. Am I pontificating too much here? The world is also Epstein Island in California, where massive amounts of fraud continue to be uncovered, unpacked. Some $9 billion of more fraud was found this week. There's fraud everywhere. I don't know if you know people who've personally been the victims of fraud through various government programs, but it's pretty much everywhere. It happens through basically every government program. Anytime money is administered, sometimes it is like explicitly illegal fraud, which very rarely, if ever, gets punished. Most of the time, the scale of it is so great and the amounts are so relatively small that it's not even worth pursuing prosecution over. Social Security payouts get defrauded all the time. Medicare payouts, SNAP payouts, disability payouts. I mean, I used to work a lot on the south side of Chicago, and I met with a lot of families, a lot of people that were trying to put together the income streams, and I say that word lightly, income by way of federal government programs to be able to bring money into their households without working. A lot of people concocting essentially false premises that they use to seek payments from the government. Fraud is rampant on an individual level. It is rampant on a systemic level. People shouldn't be that shocked that someone would run a fake daycare and claim it for some government handout, any more than you would be shocked that someone might fib on their application for disability payments about how many dependent minors they have in the home. This stuff happens every day. People do it a dime a dozen, all the time. And nobody should be surprised that governments protect it. That governments cover for you as long as you vote for them. It's one of the great pitfalls of democracy. Maybe if we had a society that in fact was run by just a bunch of oligarchs, you wouldn't have that so much because the oligarchs wouldn't be dependent on the votes of the people. But on the other hand, the votes of the people keep them having to look at least a little bit honest. California, too, is Epstein Island. Or so they say is a republic with a bear climbing across the island. Maybe the island is Epstein Island there. Just a very hungry bear looking for food on Epstein Island. Tax departments are corrupted often, yeah. I mean, certainly. As a taxpayer, it really pisses me off how much fraud is happening, says Quiet Castle. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess we should all be honest about our own moral shortcomings. You know, we all have certain areas in which we have faults. We are all sinners in our own way. You know, hopefully not to the scale of some of these things that we're talking about. But it does. Like when you are of the disposition, and I think a lot of the people who watch our streams are of the disposition because I feel like I exude it on a daily basis. That while I don't necessarily embody the open-ended empathy for every wrongdoer in the world that maybe some do, that no matter how many crimes you've committed, we should just be very, very nice to you and just give you everything that you want because it's the nice thing to do. I don't really embody that so much. What I do embody is more like, why doesn't everybody just handle their business, shoulder their burdens, carry their cross, do the best they can, and work their way through their issues? I mean, for God's sake, it's the 21st century. It's the United States of America. We are all privileged with tremendous assets, opportunities, resources, support from others if needed. Like, why is it that so many people seem so unwilling to just bear the burdens of their own responsibilities and instead pass it off to everyone else? I think about this every time I am on the airplane. Sometimes you're on the airplane, the plane lands, and it takes a while for it to taxi around and make its way up to the gate. And then, I don't know why it takes so long to unload an airplane, why it takes the people so long to get off the damn plane. But you're there for about 10 minutes every time. Everyone starts to kind of stand up all in unison and start grabbing their bags out of the overhead compartments, standing in kind of awkward, contorted positions, and you just stand there awkwardly, impatiently. You're waiting for the people in front of you to get the frickin' move on, to get off the damn plane, but they've got to wait for the people in front of them. This takes forever. And every frickin' time, as you're getting off the plane, there is somebody toward the back of the plane that insists, I have a short connection. You need to let me off first. Everybody clear the way. Make room for me. Me, 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 me. I need to get off first because I have a short connection. I have never asked someone to make way for me to get off the plane so that I could catch a short connection. I try to take the responsibility to build in connection times between my flights that are long enough that I can make my connections. And at the very least, that I can eat the risk that I might miss the connection if my first plane is late. That's part of life, is sometimes you miss your connection if the first plane is late. There's always the risk of that. Why is it everyone else's responsibility to clear their lives for you because you built a short connection into your schedule? Now I get it, it's the nice thing to do. Make way for somebody that in their moment of need. What if we all just were nice to each other in our moment of need? Because then everybody starts slouching a little bit around the edges. Everyone shortens up those connections, shorter and shorter and shorter. And then suddenly everybody on the plane has a short connection and wants everyone else to make way for them, except for that one poor person in the back or in the front. That one poor person who didn't expect everyone else to shoulder their burden, who then gets foisted with everyone else's problems again and again and again and again. And it is always that good, humble, responsible person that ends up carrying the burden for every selfish asshole that can't take responsibility for their own stuff. What if we all just agreed to be halfway responsible? There's a lot of people these days that want this socialistic future in which we all just accommodate everybody's needs at all times. What if everybody just did their own shit? What if everybody just made sure their own finances were in order? Why is it the responsible person always has to be guilt-tripped with the burden of making way for everyone else's stuff? Their irresponsibility, their laziness, etc. Reggie, the 8,146th Reggie, to visit our stream. Hey there, Land Speculation. Thank you for the insightful commentaries. First found you from your Notre Dame playoff video and gave you a follow since then. Always love the commentaries you give. Go Irish. Well, I appreciate that, Reggie. We've been trying some things. We're trying to get some more varied content up on our channel to see who we can pull in. Appreciate you joining the Land Speculation family here. Yeah, we pontificate about a lot of things, but we do try to be open-minded too. And if, I don't know, we posted a couple of Notre Dame videos. They get a lot of views. I don't know why our channel is so popular with the Notre Dame crowd. It's been interesting seeing some of the things we posted lately and which of them do better than others. One of the things it has taught me is that the amount of effort I put into a video has absolutely zero correlation with the number of views it gets. I don't know what it is. I have to start posting more Notre Dame stuff, apparently. The people seem to like us talking about Notre Dame. I wonder what the Venn diagram is between our core content historically and Notre Dame football. I mean, certainly Notre Dame should have been let in the playoffs this year. I wonder how they would have done against Indiana. And a Notre Dame Indiana championship game would have been really, really, that would have been blazing. Tess, appreciate it. Wild Bill says if you travel business or first class, all those issues go away. No, they don't. No, they don't. You're still dealing with the same crap in business class and first class. It's a little better. It's certainly not worth the expense differential. The whole constraint of the airport environment causes people to pay astronomical premiums for even the faintest slight upgrades in benefit. Long haul flights, I'll agree with you. It helps a lot, but it also costs a lot. All right, let's keep. I can't remember what I put in here. Okay, this is another picture of California. Look at that. It's this is sort of like a California, the place, is kind of a microcosm for California, the entity. California is the most beautiful natural environment. I don't know. That's hyperbolic. It's one of the most beautiful natural environments in the world. It's the weather is awesome. The scenery is beautiful and bright. The ocean is all around you. The inland parts of California, not so much, but like the coast anyway. You get varied coast too in LA. It's like very warm and balmy and beachy, and then you go up the coast in like San Francisco. It's like very temperate, and you get a little misty rain all the time, and it's foggy, and it's very, you can sit there with a coffee, and it's very, just kind of makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It's beautiful, beautiful place, California. And yet, the physical, the stuff they built in California across most of the state is just trash. Like California, like Los Angeles is just it's highways and suburbs and arterial roads and like crappy buildings everywhere. San Francisco's a little better, but it's just ugly. Like most of California, if you took the scenery out of the backdrop, would just be hideously ugly. And so too kind of goes like everything else about the state. Everyone moves there because it's like, it's pretty and it's Hollywood and sexy California. And then it's like, well, we're just going to run the most dysfunctional state ever. And somehow those things are going to marry up and kind of create a net of zero. Taxifornia. I get it because it's like the first part is you're replacing the cal with tax because the taxes are high, and then it's Fornia is this the rest of it. I get it. It's good. Feather Mason. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Land Speculation on YouTube. Wild Bill, Tess. Let's see, Beefy. Whoever I got. I wasn't sure if anybody would bother to show up here at 3 in the morning. There's a statute of limitations. There is a threshold at which usually if I get to a point late in the night, I will just throw in the towel and I will say, it's too late, we're not streaming. But because of constraints, I was kind of committed that no matter what, I was going to have to stream tonight. And I woke up at 12:13 a.m. today, and I was like, oh crap, it's already late. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't even know what's in the news. I haven't followed the news in a week. I'm going to have to learn quickly. I'm going to have to put some slides together. I can't go outside because it's cold as hell. That's usually much easier for backdrop content. I got to get the whole damn thing set up. Making a thumbnail takes frickin' forever. You guys don't realize how tedious this is. How tedious this is to try to get something set up. And so I pulled it together and we went live about 2:15 this morning. which is much later than I normally would. But I actually found last week when we did this, nobody watched it while we were doing it, and then we actually got a lot of views after the fact. So people seem to like these late night sleepwalking streams where we kind of just catch up on everything on the weekend after the fact. So if you are watching this in the future, I hope it's going well. I hope the world has not exploded. California is a huge state, though. There are quite a few really amazing places. It's just too bad our politics and laws suck so bad. It is. It's a big place. California is bigger than a bread box, for sure. Beefy, I appreciate it. I don't say that because I'm seeking like a whole bunch of like sympathy. I choose to do this, but it does. It always takes me longer to get these things up and running, even for like a short rambly stream like tonight, where I didn't really have much prepared. It always just takes a lot longer to get it up and running than I think it will. Should we really have a Super Bowl conversation while looking at Iranian protests? The Super Bowl is happening. Kind of snuck up on me there. Kind of forgot football was still a thing. It was a good North Carolina Duke basketball game earlier today. Yesterday by now. One more football game. It's the last football game. The very last one. The Pro Bowl. I watched the Pro Bowl this week. That is horrible. What a crap event that has become. I hadn't watched that in years. That has deteriorated. No wonder nobody watches it. Well, I did for 5 minutes, then I turned it off. Super Bowl is happening. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, do parties and stuff. It's the dumbest football game of the year because everyone's forgotten about football. No one cares about the game. It's actually, it makes a mockery of football to me. But also, it's the most watched thing in the world. So I guess it's a big deal. I feel like it's been a little underhyped this year. Seattle. Supersonics from Seattle. No, it's the Super Seahawks. The Super Seahawks here playing in the Super Bowl. And they are playing against the Patriots of New England. Did I get that right? Those are the two teams? I watched the damn championship games, and I still can't even remember. Who are you guys cheering? Do you guys have a rooting interest here? The Winter Olympics started too. I was watching curling today, which is the worst sport in the Winter Olympics because it's so boring. It's like watching, I mean, I would rather watch people play cornhole than curling. The U.S. like blew a game to Great Britain today. Really bad shot late in the game in curling. I also was watching the women's ski jumping, which I kind of like better than some of the stuff where you have to do flips in the air. I hate skiing. I find it terrifying and unsettling and dangerous. I do think I would like the long distance ski jumping better than some others. It was a little more satisfying than I don't know, the half pipe stuff just seems really hard. Now the Super Bowl is about politics and anti-ICE protests. Is it? I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about politics or anti-ICE protests happening at the Super Bowl. Commercials are more watched than the big game. Yeah, I mean, it is like, at least the commercials are novel. Then once you've seen them once, then you've seen them, and then they stop being novel. Bill watches it with it muted. I don't really like. I guess I've kind of warmed up to the Seahawks a little bit here. I normally don't like the Seahawks. I have to be careful with my words because we have some folks here as part of our core audience on land speculation who are native and fond of the greater Seattle area. But I think by and large the greater Seattle area it's wannabe San Francisco with an over the top opinion of itself. I don't really love their sports culture in Seattle. It's a little too into itself. I don't like the fact they built a stadium with like a roof artificially built to make the stadium louder so they can claim they have the best fans. I don't like their uniforms. I find the two-headed Seahawk that wraps around their helmet with a face on each side to be weird. I find their color scheme to be kind of ugly. I don't love the Seahawks. I do like their leading receiver, but I don't like the Seahawks by and large. The Patriots obviously are an annoying franchise, or have been for at least the last 20 years or so, 25 years. Now, not so much since Tom Brady retired. Tom Brady was an annoying person. And so I can get behind them now and actually like a few of their parts and pieces now, to the point where I'm back to kind of almost liking the Patriots. So I'm a little bit on the fence. I'm leaning Patriots in my rooting interest, but I could be convinced otherwise. I probably won't stay awake for the end of the game. Quiet Castle thinks the Seahawks will beat the Patriots 24-20. Wait, it didn't already happen, did it? Did we miss it? There was a past Super Bowl where the Patriots beat the Seahawks. They sure did a lot of winning with Tom Brady. So, speaking of like psychopaths who are a little off, to be like one of the greatest athletes of all time in any sport, you probably are a little bit of a psychopath that kind of doesn't resonate as much as a person. I find Michael Jordan to be a little weird, a little over the top. I find Tom Brady to be pretty over the top weird. And when you have that kind of person and lots of money, sometimes you get some very nefarious stuff. Again, the world is Epstein Island. The entire world is Epstein Island. Epstein Island is the world. There is no distinction. There is not some neat and tidy little bow we can put on the Epstein scandal. It just is the world. I guess we're maybe going to go to war with Iran. I don't know. I haven't been following. We're so wrapped up in some of these little things that we kind of like forget about the big things. Okay. U.S. and Iranian officials have held indirect nuclear negotiations in Muscat, Oman. That's a nice little city, Muscat, Oman. We're going to have some stuff on Land Ducks International from Muscat, Oman in the future. The whole like diplomacy thing with Iran. Why do we even bother? The U.S. has deployed significant naval and air assets to the Middle East, including aircraft carriers, the USS Abraham Lincoln, and a strike group, officially to deter instability and signal resolve. A U.S. fighter shot down an Iranian drone. Things are escalating in Iran. Iranian officials have explicitly stated that if the U.S. attacks Iranian territory, Iran would strike U.S. military bases in the region, though they would not strike other neighboring countries. I don't think it's a very good idea for Iran to get into a war with the United States. I assume they know that. Tehran views the U.S. as a threat to its regime. Well, no kidding. Iran's kind of like it's a messy thorn in everyone's side. If we could just deal with that, the Middle East would become a lot better looking. Iran is also they're having plenty of conflict without us internally. Seems like they could just a different government in Iran would be better. So Iraq used to be like a counterweight to Iran, and they used to keep each other busy with kind of meaningless regional confrontations. And then the U.S. toppled Iraq, which forced Saudi Arabia to step into that role as the primary counterweight to Iran in the region, because Iran is just, for seemingly no reason, just a perpetual bad actor over there, and everyone kind of despises that, but they also have some sympathizers over there. I would say the regional politics of the Middle East are pretty interesting. Not that interesting, but pretty interesting. The U.S. seems to be getting itself into quite a bit of saber rattling with a lot of countries these days. Most of it's just noise, and we work our way out of it. I don't know what to do about Iran. You can just shovel them more money. Iran and its proxies are degraded. The Iranian people are fed up, and now is the time for them to toss out their leader, says Quiet Castle. I certainly know plenty of Iranian people here in the United States that came over when Iran swapped out its regime, who really lament the state of Iran these days. It certainly seems to have backslid. We tend to like to think of humanity as like a linear, generally positive moving thing. And Iran feels like a place that has gone backward over time. Because Venezuela kind of felt that way too. A lot of parts of the world that sort of feel that way. And Cuba felt that way. Cuba still feels that way. In a lot of cases, the U.S. overreached its hand back in the day, propped up leaders who maybe actually weren't that good. Probably better than what they have now, but in places like Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran, the U.S. was propping up kind of bad leaders in those places. It's a thing we used to do more of, like back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And in each of those places, the country kind of revolted against its leader and replaced them with somebody worse, who the U.S. was not as aligned with. They just killed like 7,000 of their own people. Yeah, they're just like executing protesters. It's sort of a fun thing. I mean, a horrifically fun thing. Of course, our media coverage is all about how bad the U.S. is and how the U.S. is stoking tension. And why do we hate ourselves so much? I don't understand the pathology. The one that finally got into line and was working with us was killed by Hillary and Obama in Libya. I mean, there's a lot of countries in that part of the world the U.S. actually has pretty good relations with now. You know, the U.S. and the Saudis have been on decent terms for a long time. Iraq, we do okay with because we set it up. Kuwait, we're pretty fine with. UAE, we're okay with. Oman is like Switzerland, annoyingly neutral. We got bases in Bahrain. Politically, we do okay with Pakistan, although that country's got a lot of issues. Afghanistan's a mess. We made a mess of Afghanistan. Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Why don't we talk about those? We don't really think much about them, but they're there. I guess that says something about your country when the most anybody can say for it is that it exists. Maybe that's good. You're not on the radar. I don't know. We'll dig more into Iran in the future. So the world. Yeah, the world is Epstein. Everything that we're talking about in the news is just some other manifestation of the same stuff that yielded Jeffrey Epstein. And there will be more, of course, that we will, I guess, dig into in the coming days. We should do a Stan stream. That'd be kind of a fun deep dive. Like, sort through all the Stans. I'm gonna write that one down. Is that one going on the list, Jeanette? We're gonna add that one to the list so I don't forget about it. Yes, the stands: Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan. How many stands are there? Am I forgetting about stands? All right, lots more features to come. By the way, guys, if you have not dropped a like or subscribe on the video, actually, no, I shouldn't say this. We should get one of our mods to say this. But let's do an ad. 1 through 15. 1 through 15. I need a number in the chat. Maybe. Kanukistan. Bill wants a 6. 6. Okay, we'll do 6 here. 6. I don't remember what 6 is. I don't think we've done a 6 in a while. Let's see. Let's see what we got. 6 coming up.
If you're hearing this message, you're probably watching land speculation on YouTube. I gotta be quiet. If you are, please leave a like. They say we have to get so many likes, and then they'll maybe let me out of the cage. It's been a while. Hey, shut up over there. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Just leave, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want. Check out the description for the Discord and all that stuff. I gotta go.
All right, that was moderator extraordinaire James Bequeathius, who also goes by James Games. He's not here right now. He's fast asleep somewhere off in the universe. But we do appreciate all of our mods here on Land Speculation on YouTube: Quiet Castle, Jeanette, James, and Moniker, and Nightbot doing the Nightbot stuff here also. But yeah, do the like and the subscribe stuff. Check the description. That has, again, links to our Discord. Anybody can join our Discord. Please join our Discord if you're not already there. It's really fun. It's like the greatest time you'll ever have in your life. You can talk about literally anything you want as long as it is in accordance with our rules and the Discord terms of service, which still leaves a pretty broad universe of things you can talk about. And you can be silly, you can be long-winded, you can post links. And I mean, you guys know how Discord works. You can join our Duck. You can contribute to our Duck Fund. I appreciate that, of course. There are multiple ways to send us things out of your bank account. The Duck Fund is our Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to help support the stream. Appreciate the contributions there. And the sister channel, Land Ducks International, is also linked in our description as well if you want to get more raw and unedited land speculation live content, footage, things like that. Land Ducks International is also worth subscribing to, linked there in the description. Please do that if you feel even the slightest, faintest interest. Feather Mason, sorry we didn't get to your ad. Reggie, sorry we didn't get to your ad. We'll do those on other streams. Bill wants to send us debts from his bank account. I will happily take out loans on behalf of people. If anybody wants to send me their personal information so that I can take out a loan in their name or register for government benefits in either California or Minnesota under your name, you just write me a note, landspeculation@gmail.com. You tell me under what what special things you qualify for, what kinds of disabilities or dependents you have or could plausibly claim, and I will open up. I will file for anything you want me to file for, and I will collect the money, and I will keep it, Yeah, feel free. Feel free. If you want to do, I won't do that. But it is cold right now. Gas bills are high. Yeah, well, we gotta crank this global warming forward and get the Earth warmed up. Reggie is the victor today. Reggie, congratulations on your victory. Excellent job. Very good. Let's see. I pulled together like 12 slides. Oh, no, there's Samantha Guthrie too. That's a tragic thing. That's a pretty crazy, mysterious, tragic thing. I don't know. I don't have any explanations there. It's one of the weirder cases I've heard about in a while, and I listen to a fair bit of true crime stuff. What a crazy thing. Is the Today Show now? I haven't watched the Today Show in a long time because it's terrible. Is that Jenna Bush Hager and Samantha Guthrie? Is that the deal? Those are the two Today Show hosts now? Because Hoda Cobb left to go start her wellness channel. Hoda Cobb's independent venture, her like self-help, feel good about yourself channel, I believe has fewer subscribers than we do, which is very rewarding. Man, if you've ever been like I the last time I watched the Today Show was when I was trapped in a dentist's office. That is the worst crap I've seen on TV in a long time. It's awful. But nevertheless, Samantha Guthrie seems like a nice person, and what a tragic story. And I can't even imagine how traumatic that is for her and her family, and presumably her mom, if she's in fact still alive. Which, what a thing that is. Like, I feel like there's a kind of universality if you listen to enough true crime that when someone gets kidnapped, very rarely are they still alive. But wow, they managed to get that mom back. What a thing that would be. I wonder who did this. Do you guys think Jeffrey Epstein did JonBenet Ramsey? We did that whole thing. That was one of our more interesting streams we've ever done a while back. We got to dig that one up and republish it. Like, that's not just random idle speculation. There's a lot to that. Did Jeffrey Epstein do JonBenet Ramsey? Pull that one back out. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein got away and now has kidnapped Samantha Guthrie's mom. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein actually did the moon landing. Jeffrey Epstein maybe actually did do JonBenet Ramsey. I suspect Jeffrey Epstein probably did know who killed JonBenet Ramsey because I think all of us know who killed JonBenet Ramsey, for the most part. I know enough about that case that I probably should do a stream on it, because that's another portal to viewership. There are people. There's a huge JonBenet Ramsey community out there. That case is like the ultimate. That's like the number one ultimate true crime case out there. Nightbot believes Epstein didn't kill himself. Reggie, yes, you have won 3 cents for winning. That's the deal. When you win 3 cents, in theory. To this day, nobody has ever collected their 3 cents. If you want to claim your winnings, shoot me an email, landspeculation@gmail.com. You will then have to send me a letter and include in that letter a pre-stamped return envelope. Now, this will cost you the price of 2 stamps to do this, so it's probably not financially worth it. But if you want to do it, I will scrounge up 3 pennies and I will send them back in your pre-stamped envelope. If somebody ever actually does want to do that, shoot me an email. I mean, I certainly hope they find her alive, and like, what a saga that would be if they do. Feather Mason hopes to win someday, has no sense at all. That's Quiet Castle. You might have competition here. Feather Mason, you are the top fan, though, according to the top fans. I think that. Okay, hang on. That was okay. There's the duck. The duck is back. Let me see here. If I'm gonna sort through my layers here. Turn off the PPT. Let's turn the chat on here. Okay, we gotta get the chat updated. Chat, update yourself. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, so the top fans here. Feather Mason, you are number 1. Jerry Carter 2, Village and Act 3, Not Beefy Productions 4, Reggie 5, Tess Castro 6, Bill 7, King Cosmo 8, and that's what it's giving us today. So you guys, now you know where you stand. You know your position in the hierarchy. So congratulations. All right. Well, we started late, so we got to end. Actually, we did go for a while. Okay. Well, it's very late now. So while I would love to stream 24/7 like The Truman Show, which actually has crossed my mind at times that we should just stream our entire lives, almost like The Truman Show. I don't know why somebody doesn't do that on YouTube. Like, somebody really should just live stream everything in their life. Like a real Truman Show. I've thought about it. Okay, we're going to come back and do more stuff. This is a busy period, so we're trying to kind of hold it together here for a little bit. We may go through a few days here where we have less stuff posting. Don't be alarmed. As always, this channel is cyclical, so we will be back. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's just going to be a question mark. We will leave everybody in suspense here. I appreciate folks hanging out with us, finding us late, chit-chatting about idle chatter. Try to get back outside when we can, too. I don't know why it's so cold. Unacceptable. Thanks to our mods. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope this was interesting, entertaining, not profoundly disappointing to the point you rush off in a huff and leave us forever. We'll do better on future streams. Appreciate it, guys. Like, subscribe, Discord, Duck Fund, Land Ducks International. Don't be back. Nope. That's not how that's supposed to go. Don't be strangers. We'll be back. This is Land. That ain't just speculation. For now, I hope you all have a good night.